In this video, I want to share with you my top 2 reasons why I think everybody should be training their vestibular systems. Now, our vestibular system is situated in our ear. It's basically a system that informs the body which way up it is, whether or not it's falling, whether or not it's moving, and if it is falling or moving, how fast it is going. Basically, to sum it up, my vestibular system should tell my spine what corrections to make in order to maintain my balance. So if I am sitting up straight or if I'm standing up, I'm never really truly balanced. I'm always falling one direction or another. Now my vestibular system, its job is when I start falling this way, it's to recognize I'm falling this way, and that's not good if I want to stay balanced and upright. So it'll send a signal to my spine to say, all right, straighten up. And once I straighten up, I'm probably going to start falling the other direction, and fires a signal, says, hey, you're falling this way now, straighten up. Now, if my vestibular system is functioning very well, this happens all very, very quickly and very easily. If I stop using it, just like any other system in the brain, it is not going to react so quickly. So the first reason that I'm going to give why everybody I think should be training their vestibular system is it's really good for your reflexive posture. If you think of what I just said there, is that when I start to fall, my vestibular system tells my body to straighten itself up, and if my vestibular system is reacting very fast, that my spine will be able to stay straighter. We can translate that pretty much to, if my vestibular system is reacting well, my posture will be straighter. And there's a pretty good reason for this. If my vestibular system is reacting well, not only is it fighting against gravity, but also it isn't worried necessarily with falling and hitting the floor hard. If I hit the floor hard and I'm up tall and straight, I pose a risk to several parts of my body. If my limbs are straight, they're more likely to break. If my ribs are exposed, I'm more likely to pose a threat to my vital organs. So a vestibular system that isn't functioning so well actually is going to force my brain to adopt some kind of flex posture. That just means I'm closer to that safe flexion position of bent limbs, kind of like the fetal position, covering my organs, protecting my head, so that if I do fall and I don't realize I'm falling quick enough, I will be less likely to do myself any damage. On the other hand, if it is reacting really well, because it gets used a lot, I will be straighter and taller, because this puts me in a better position to move well, and move well for tasks that might be good for my long-term survival. Remember, I'm flexed because I'm thinking about my short-term survival. That's not falling over and smashing myself against the floor. Long-term, I might want to do things like go to work or play some sports, and anything that might be good for my long-term health and well-being. So a straighter posture is going to be better for that, as well as better for my head. When my posture is straighter, my eyes are free to see more of the world. So a better functioning vestibular system basically is better for your posture. Now, we might say, well, okay, just any kind of exercise is going to be good. If you think about what the vestibular system does, it measures head motion. And then think about a lot of the exercises that get performed in gyms. Usually the head isn't really taken into account. We move the body a lot. We sit at a machine, or we sit at a workstation, and we pull and push and do all sorts of movements with our bodies. In activities like Pilates, we even reduce the vestibular stimulus further by lying ourselves down on the floor. So we put ourselves into the most balanced position we could possibly be in before we start to move. That's going to be great for developing a better understanding of our body, not necessarily for teaching our brain how to react to motion. So any kind of training that involves more head movement will be better for training the vestibular system, rather than gym exercises where the head stays still and we spend more time moving the body on its own. The second reason that I think everyone should be training their vestibular systems is it is really good, especially in older adults, for encouraging a neuroplastic state. So neuroplasticity is this idea that the brain is able to change and rewire itself in order to adapt to new things and learn new things. And a lot of research done by Dr. Andrew Huberman has looked specifically at these neuroplastic changes in older adults. And what they found is losing balance is a really good way to encourage a sort of general neuroplastic state. So not specific, it doesn't encourage anything specifically, it just encourages your brain to get used to the idea of learning new things. Partly this is just because your vestibular system is a sense that cannot be switched off, and losing your balance makes it really hard to function well in the world. But vestibular training has been shown to improve adults, and especially older adults, ability to learn and adapt to new things by encouraging this neuroplastic state. Now, this kind of vestibular training, Dr. Huberman found it was necessary that you really were losing your balance. So let's say if you're doing balance training on one foot and you get really good at it, that isn't going to be good enough anymore. You're going to need something that is really throwing you off, or as another example, if you've suddenly learned to handstand and you can do it comfortably for 30 seconds to a minute, actually you're going to need to increase the stimulus. You're going to need to do it on a balance board or try and do it on a slack line or a tightrope. But if we can be constantly challenging the balance, it gets the brain primed and ready to be able to develop and train new things. Something which isn't necessarily the case, again, for the gym exercises and the Pilates exercises that we see and do all the time. So there you go. Those are my top 2 reasons for why we should be training our vestibular system. Last month I looked at 5 reasons we should train vision. I actually think that these 2 vestibular arguments are good enough that they stand up well on their own. I don't think I need any more. But let me know what you think. Do you train your vestibular system? Have you ever heard of this before? What do you think of the idea of training for neuroplasticity or for better posture? Let me know in the comments. Otherwise, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.